they'd also chatted about the nature of some of these images. They said at the end of February 2021, the Mail queried whether Mr. Edwards actually wanted him to send some of the images that appeared to be quite young, to which Mr. Edwards responded by saying and asking the Mail not to send him anything of anyone underage. From this point onwards, though, the exchange of images continued, and a further 5 were sent to Mr. Edwards of children that we've read or opened by him within the chat that they had. Of the very serious images that he has admitted being in possession of, those category A images, the court heard how it was estimated the age of the children of those 7 images was between 13 and 15. And in the case of one of those images, the court was told that the age of the child was between age 7 and 9. While he has pleaded guilty, his defence spoke about, and they were keen to stress about the fact that there is no suggestion that Edwards made or created any of the images themselves. He didn't keep the images, he didn't share the images on and pass them on to anyone else, nor did he seek any images from anywhere else to be sent to him. He has been released now on probation, due to come back here on the 16th of September. While mental and physical health assessments are carried out, the judge also requested that assessment be made about whether or not he should be placed on a sex offenders treatment programme. Hugh Edwards, obviously the trusted figure of BBC News for over 20 years, presenting the news at 10, a huge fall from grace for him, and the level of attention that this case has received today has been intense.
Katie at Westminster Magistrates Court, thank you for that update. Our other main story this lunchtime, Hamas is warning of major repercussions after its political leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed by an airstrike in Tehran.
Okay, so started that a different way, didn't I? I just as I was coming on, the news was talking about the Hugh Edwards case, so I thought, oh, I'll just leave it on Sky News so we get to see what the reporter had to say about Hugh Edwards. So, he's pled guilty. So Hugh Edwards has pled guilty to these charges. And I don't know if you've caught that, but it was interesting because some of those images were of children of 7 to 9 years old. You know, so some of them were quite young. So apparently, as she was saying, there's no suggestion that he shared the images. He was sent the images. Apparently, they were on his phone, you know. I don't know. But anyway, he's pled guilty. So he's probably pled guilty because, to be honest, he won't want too much delving into what he's been up to, will he? Let's have a look at him. Oh, yeah, exactly, Lottie. So before he was saying he was completely innocent. Now he's guilty, but there's some mental health issues, according to Hugh. Because, of course, the biggest mental health issue is that he was caught, wasn't it? So really, if Hugh Edwards hadn't been caught, would he still be carrying on doing it all? Of course he would. You know, he was just carrying on with his, you know, perfect life. There were a lot of people there from Christian groups, you know, shouting to him to repent. Because when you set yourself up as a holier-than-thou person, which Hugh Edwards did, of course, you know, when you fall, like, people are really angry that have been taken in by you, etc. So let's have a look. Hi, Christina. Let's have a look at some other things about. I've got so many windows open because I've got so much to show you. I've got some video of him arriving at court, I think. Yeah, let's have a look at that first. So yeah, just to people who don't know about this, there may be so hi, I'm Vicky. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. And I'm in mainland Spain. It is 8 minutes past 1 in the afternoon, just into the afternoon. And we're talking about, first of all, about Hugh Edwards, which if people in other countries, maybe not in Britain, don't know, Hugh Edwards is the flagship presenter, or was, for the BBC. He was the guy who was trusted with covering the Queen's funeral. You know, he's like me. He was Mr. Perfect, Mr. Family Man, 5 children, Christian. You know, he was literally. Oh, hang on. Why is that come on? Not quite sure where that is coming from. Where is that coming from? Oh, I know where it's coming from. Anyway, so yeah, so then suddenly was what happened really was that a young lad that he was exchanging indecent images of, his parents found out about it and went to the BBC. So they did not want to go to the police. They went to the BBC, told the BBC about it, and then they got incensed when they saw Hugh Edwards at an awards ceremony, picking up an award as if nothing had happened, you know, as if this situation with their son had not happened. And that's when they went to the police last year. So, of course, then, you know, the shit hit the fan, if you pardon the expression. And one thing led to another, and Hugh Edwards stepped down from presenting. But I don't know if he's even still being paid. He received a pay rise, because will his contract mean that they can't sack him? So even though he's not appeared at all on television for a long, long time, he's still being paid, and he's one of the best paid presenters. He earns something between £300,000 and £400,000 a year, maybe more even. I'm not exactly certain. And he got his pay rise. So, you know, it's not that bad, is it? I mean, he had to hide away. But, you know, what irritates me more than anything about this case is the fact that he's turned around saying, no, he's got mental health issues, and his wife stuck up for him, the poor woman, and said, oh, you know, he's not been feeling himself lately. No, because he's been feeling other people, of course. But obviously the guy is gay, which is nothing wrong with being gay. Nothing, or bisexual, or whatever he is. But what is wrong is when you try and put yourself as some sort of, you know, holier than thou person, and then referring to it. The other thing that I thought personally was disgusting, then referring to it as a mental illness, as if being homosexual is a mental illness, not, you know, a condition, or just you and the way you were born. You know, that's who you are. It's not a mental illness or a medical condition, or it's just what someone is. It's just the same, you know, making, instead of just holding up his hand. Now, he comes from a different generation, of course. He's 62 years old. It would have been different years ago, you know, to be openly gay or bisexual, not like today, where, you know, hopefully young people have more freedom to be who they want to be. But of course, he comes from a generation where you perhaps weren't that free to be how you know, what you wanted to be. But why not just turn around? Because remember, we had this with Philip Schofield, of course. He was another one, you know, married, children, finally came out in a big tearful scene on This Morning programme, but only because he was just about to be exposed. And then it turns out he's been grooming young boys as well, allegedly. You know, so this is what's irritating about all these things. It's not him being gay, or it's not him, you know, having relationships with men. It's to do with, one, a lot of these photos that he was in possession of were young people, really young people. And two, why can't he just admit to, you know, instead of blaming it on mental illness? That's my thing with it. You know, it's difficult to feel sympathy with him, really, because he's still not being honest. So he started off saying he was innocent, blaming the young guy who had been, you know, whose parents had gone to the BBC, blaming them, you know, and it was all like a smear campaign. Now he's pleading guilty. Anyway, let's have a look at him appearing in court.
BBC presenter Hugh Edwards has arrived at Westminster Magistrates Court. Of course, he's due to appear in court, having been charged with making indecent images of children. We can bring you the images of him arriving now. Our arts and entertainment correspondent Katie Spencer is at Westminster Magistrates Court for us. Katie, he's just arrived.
Yeah, look, we haven't seen the BBC's former newsreader in public for over a year. It's been over a year since he was on the BBC News at 10 reading the headlines for them. This was a very different encounter with many of his peers, if you like. He walked very slowly around the corner from here into Westminster Magistrates. A swarm of photographers taking his picture. There was such was the crush that one of the photographers actually sort of was pushed over in part of the sort of.
Yeah, because when he was arriving, obviously you can imagine, because he sort of hid away, didn't he? He was in a hospital for a while. How they sort of tried to silence all this story was they admitted him to hospital. And his wife said, oh, you know, he's depressed and he's going through this, that and the other. Made out, you know, that's what they do, make everyone feel guilty. Oh, you shouldn't be saying anything about them, no, because of their mental health. But, you know, what about the mental health of those children that were on those photos? And they're high grade pornography. You know how they grade them. I mean, of course, it's all horrible, isn't it? Child P is all horrible. But they grade them, and they were the most serious kind. Some of them were the most serious.
Excitement to capture his picture. Hugh Edwards has spoken in the past about his Christian faith. There are also a number of Christian protesters here shouting things at the newsreader like "repent." Look, he hasn't been seen in public in over a year, as I said. When he left the public eye, we know through his wife that she said that he has been experiencing a lot of mental health problems.
Mental health problems.
To public life, to have to answer the CPS charges against him, it is a very, very different experience for the newsreader. We know now that he was questioned by the police last November, charged at the end of last month with 3 counts of making indecent images of children. From the charge sheet that we have, we know that relates to 37 images that he was in possession of on WhatsApp. The images came between 2020 and 2022, and 6 of those 37 images were classed as Category A, which are among the most serious images.
So, yeah, so 6 of those images were classified as Category A, the most serious. So, you know, this is not just, you know, I mean, I don't know how it could be anything that was not that serious when it comes to this issue. But, you know, it couldn't get any more serious. It's the most serious of the serious, 6 of those images.
That you can be in possession of. In theory, the maximum charge that he could receive if found guilty of this would be 10 years in jail. But we are a long way off.
So, yeah, he could possibly get 10 years in jail. He won't get 10 years in jail, will he? I'd be surprised if he gets any time in jail, because the judge is going to, because he's a high-profile person, so the judge is going to consider all, you know, his mental health and his physical health, and maybe put him on a course, you know, so he's unlikely to actually serve a jail sentence, I think.
Any sort of plea even being entered. This is a very basic hearing today. Well, Hugh Edwards will have the charges read to him, and just the basics of his name and address will be confirmed.
So there you go. So that's, let's see, but what else have we got to show you about Hugh Edwards? I just need to put some windows down as usual. I always end up with too much going on, and then I get mixed up what I'm doing. I just want to show you some more photos of him. So, of course, if you're British, you probably will recognise him. You know, he's been on our screens forever. I mean, I always quite liked him, you know. I think that's it. Most people did quite like him. He was trusted to do those things like the Queen's funeral. I remember when the Queen died, because he was on the news and there was some rumours come down, and then he suddenly appeared in a black tie, like on this picture here. And that's how I knew that the Queen had died. Oh, so apparently he's split from his wife. Let's have a look. Oh. So apparently he's split from his wife, Vicky Flint. So he's moved out of their family home as he's charged with making indecent images of children. Well, the thing is, there's a limit to how much you can, you know, she was sticking by him and, you know, not believing it. But when you get to, he actually gets charged with indecent images, I think she'd be struggling to try and pretend it's not happening, really. Oh. So, yeah, let's read the charge sheet again. 6 Category A images, that's the most serious, isn't it? 12 Category B pictures, 19 Category C pictures on WhatsApp. And if found guilty, he could receive a maximum penalty of 6 months imprisonment. She just said 10 years. Anyway, he's reportedly moved out of his family home in Dulwich, South London, that he shared with Vicky, and he's said to have moved to another home in the capital and been splitting his time between there and his native Wales, though they're not believed yet to be divorced. Yeah. Maybe he'll sort of come out now, you know, and take a male partner. But of course, that's nothing to do, anyway, having a male partner is nothing to do with having photos of children. You know, it's like, you know, it's just completely different thing, isn't it? I mean, it's, you know, I was watching him arriving at court, and all the police were surrounding him, protecting him. And I thought, you know, that wouldn't happen to Joe Bloggs, would it? Joe Bloggs, who had pornographic images of children on his phone, he wouldn't be protected by the police as he was going into court. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. He's pled guilty. So a lot of people were trying to defend him. I've had comments saying, oh, well, everything's innocent till proven guilty. Well, he's pled guilty. So there you go. Horrible, horrible man. These types of men are the worst kind of men, because they put on a public show of, you know, of respectability. You know, he's taking his salary, earning, you know, thousands of pounds a year while people are struggling. And he's then the Mr. Prissy Hugh Edwards, I'm a Christian, I'm a good family man, I'm this, that, and the other. They're the worst type of people to me. You know, some people admit their failings, that they're not perfect, or that they've got, you know, I don't think many people would admit to having images of children on their phone. But do you know what I mean? I'm not perfect. I've done loads of things in my life that are wrong, that probably if I went back, I'd try not to do them again. But maybe I would end up doing them again, because a lot of them I did when I was young. And, you know, I've done a lot of silly things. I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of. I haven't, you know, not like this, of course. But then again, I've never put on an image that I'm like Miss Squeaky Clean. Anybody wants to know about me, they've only got to read my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher. I haven't been a perfect person. I try and do my best, but I know that sometimes I fail miserably, and you know, people do. But of course, this is a bit over the top. So let's just go back to this. So I wanted to show, yeah. So what happened was, so this is Hugh. Over the years, he was a household name. You know, he's someone that's been in, because when newsreaders like this that have been around for years, You know, you feel like you sort of know them, don't you? They've accompanied you throughout your childhood. They've been there, and you know, it just shows you, doesn't it, that you cannot tell by looking at someone what they're really like. And he's not even an immigrant either. Do you know, like all this sort of heated talk about immigrants and everything at the moment. It's not only immigrants that commit crimes. We've got to remember this. There's twonks everywhere, every race, every walk of life. People you would never think for a minute, you know, right up to the royal family, Prince Andrew, you name it. You know, there's no exclusive band of people that are twonks. No exclusive religion, no exclusive type of person. They walk amongst us. They're all kinds of people. And these people, to me, people like Hugh Edwards are the worst, because he literally telling, you know, everyone how he's this fantastic Christian, telling everyone how to live their life. And then he's doing what he's doing. So for me, he is the worst of the worst. Anyway, so let me put that down now. Have I got anything else to show you about Hugh Edwards? So that's more or less it about Hugh. You know, he's pled guilty, and I think the most shocking thing for me as well was the fact that 6 of those photos, you know, some of the children on there were between 7 and 9 years old. You know, very young children. Just terrible, disgusting. I mean, you know, how are you not going to get prison sentence for that? Just beyond me, to be honest. Okay, I think that's it from about the Hugh Ed. There's not really much else to say. Well, he has to go back in September, so his next court hearing is in September. The judge says he's going to look into, you know, all the details of his mental health, his physical health. He's going to decide whether he's appropriate for, you know, they have these courses for sex offenders. You know, they put them on courses to try and cure them or whatever. Just, you know, not that that's ever going to happen. So it'll be September now before we hear any more about Hugh. I'm just going to come back to that. Sorry, I missed people coming in probably. Hi, Heather. Hi, BF. Hi, anyone else that I might have missed coming in. Sorry, because I was reading out the things. Now, what's going to happen? Yeah, is he going to be sacked now? Is he going to carry on drawing his salary? Let's have a look at his salary, because, you know, not me, because I don't live in the UK, but people of you, any of you that are watching who live in the UK, if you pay your license, you're paying his salary. You're paying his massive salary to a child lover. The BBC never deals with anything properly, do it? It just makes you wonder. It must be so endemic in the BBC, all this, that they never really deal with it properly, do they? So, you know, so yeah, £475,000 a year, despite he earned last year, despite being off air. Oh my God. So his previous salary was 439,000, or more or less 440,000. So he's suspended, but he's still on the payroll, which apparently is normal BBC policy. And then he received a pay rise last year of £35,000. That's more than a lot of people's actual yearly salary. He's received a rise of that. you know, despite being suspended. You know, because there's got to be something more that, you know, that the BBC, God, no wonder they're going under. The BBC are going under. People don't want to pay their TV license. Can't blame them for not paying it. Why should they? Why should they pay a TV license that's going to pay people like this who are basically, you know, child lovers, who are prosecuted, admitted they're guilty, and your license money is going towards paying this massive salary to this child P. So anyway, if I were you, I'd write to. If I was on in the UK and I was I mean, I get BBC here. We get it under a cable. I don't know how they work it out, but anyway, I don't have to pay a license for it. I mean, I have to pay a monthly subscription for my TV in general, but my TV includes BBC, ITV, all the English channels. But if I was in the UK and I was paying a license fee, I think I would be writing to the BBC about. I'd be Mrs. Angry from so when they Points of View, is it, or it used to be Points of View. I don't know if it still exists, that programme where you write to the BBC with your complaints. That'd be me. I'd be writing to them and saying, I don't want to pay my TV licence to pay for this man's extortionate salary, you know, in view of the fact he's just pled guilty to having indecent images of children on his phone. God, the world's crazy, isn't it? The world is crazy. Absolutely crazy. The people that have seen him saying he's creepy, yeah. And yeah, I agree with what quite a lot of you have been saying. To blame what you've done on mental health issues is an insult to people with real mental health issues that get up, go to work every day, provide for their families, face the world. You know, don't use their issues, can't use their issues as a reason. You know, they have to go to work, they have to provide for their family. And funnily enough, I was talking to someone about the Southport thing yesterday. And of course, you do feel that this young lad that has murdered all these poor little girls is probably going to be a mental health issue. But this person, who's also a young person, said to me, you know, I've had mental health issues all my life. I've never gone and stabbed a load of little girls. You know, we've got to be careful of using mental health issues as excuses, because I personally think it's more than that. It is a psychosis probably this guy has had, and I've seen, as I was saying yesterday in the members live, I've seen people with psychosis firsthand. It is the most terrifying thing that you can ever see, because you know they really don't know what they're doing in that moment, and then afterwards they don't even remember it. That's what I think I just found the scariest thing. So then when you try and mention it to them afterwards and say, well, don't you remember when you did this, or when you said that, or when you threatened to do, and they don't even remember, you know. So there is a psychosis. People do suffer from psychosis, but Hugh Edwards wasn't suffering from psychosis. Hugh Edwards is suffering from I got cautitis. I got caught outitis. That's what he's suffering for. He hasn't got any mental health issues. You know, it's nothing to do with mental health issues. It's I got caught outitis. And then suddenly they start trying to blame it on mental health issues. Probably there's loads of you out there. Certainly, I know a lot of my viewers. Nearly everybody's got mental health issues. Not many people who haven't got some kind of a mental health issue. But, you know, they don't go downloading photos of children, you know, grade 1 child porn pictures, or they don't go stabbing little girls in who are just trying to enjoy their summer holidays. You know, so I think we've got to got to start looking at this a bit more about excusing people with mental health issues, or they've got to start get a grip on these mental health issues. What is the reason why all of a sudden everything's mental health issues? You know, get a grip on it. And knife crime, of course, needs to be got a grip on, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did you do a rant to the BBC? Yeah, Gary Lineker's another one. I mean, he's a good presenter. It's not whether I think they're good presenters or not, but it's he earns millions, doesn't he? I think Gary Lineker. I mean, he is a bit of a philanthropist, I think, but even so, yeah, come on, they've got to realise, and the people that are watching these programs, you know, that it's so insulting, really, you know, to pay people that amount of money. You know, it really is ridiculous, and then expect people to pay all these presenters all this money, and then expect people, and then put people's license up, you know, put people's license up to pay for it. Ridiculous. Hi, ACW. Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to look at Stockport now, unfortunately. So let's get, as far as the Stockport incident, sorry, not Stockport. I keep calling it Stockport. I don't know why. As far as the Southport issue is concerned, let's just have a little reminder of actually what this is about. Because oh, I thought I had an overlay of that. Whoops. Yeah. These three little girls up at the top here, you know, this is what it's really about. So it's turned into some sort of, you know, the scenes last night after the vigil. So what happened, of course, there's been this horrible man or young lad, 17 years old, decided on Monday to go to a Taylor Swift sort of dance class thing that all these little girls were attending, and just start stabbing everybody. And now 3 little girls have died. That's these 3 little girls here. So we've got Bebe, Elsie. Elsie is the little girl in the red, I think. And then Alice in the middle, or Alice, because she's Portuguese. And Bebe at the end. They're dead. They're dead. They're never coming back. Their life is gone. Extinguished. Just like that. In an attack that probably took about 10 minutes. Now, unfortunately, there are also still, I think it's 5 other children, is it, in hospital in a critical condition, and also 2 adults, the 2 women that were conducting the session, if you like, the Taylor Swift workshop. They're in prison. They're in hospital in a critical condition as well. And so what I still, you know, the thing that I want to know the most about this is, why did this guy go there? Still seems strange to me. He lived a 15-minute taxi drive away in Banks near Southport. Apparently he got a taxi. Again, we haven't had all this confirmed properly. He got a taxi, which he didn't pay for, got to this area where the workshop was, when just walked in, because it wasn't secure, the place, walked in, started stabbing everybody, and wreaked absolute havoc. And so far, these 3 little girls have died. And we're just praying, aren't we, that nobody, you know, none of the other victims succumb to their injuries. So they seem to be holding their own. A couple of them have become stable. They're holding their own at the moment, but I think some of them are still classed as critical. So it's quite scary, really, waiting for the news. You're always waiting for the news, thinking, you know, will there be another one, you know? Anyway, so as if that wasn't bad enough, then last night there was a vigil held in Southport. So there's been absolute chaos on social media because some idiots decided to put some fake news on social media from a fake news agency saying that the perpetrator was an immigrant who came over last year on a boat from Syria, was living in a migrant hotel up the road. And the trouble is, people believe this rubbish because people go on social media. They don't do their own checks. You know, they go on and see that. Like when I saw it on Twitter, and then the first thing you're thinking is, well, who is this that's saying it? Because it's not the police who's saying it. You know, that this guy is a migrant from Syria. And other people saying he's from Somalia. Then he's here from here, and his name's Ali Akbar or something like that. So, of course, unfortunately, there are some people out there who just jump on that kind of narrative because that's almost what they want to believe, because that's in their head that they hate all Muslims or they hate all immigrants. So as soon as they see anything that confirms what they think it's true without, you know, even making any checks or, you know, just thinking, oh, is this true? You know, some people do. So anyway, the police haven't helped in a way because it's not their fault really. But of course, the boy is 17 years old, so they can't release his name, even if they wanted to at the moment. So even if his name was David Smith or something like that, they can't release it because he's only 17. He's a minor. He's a child himself in the eyes of the law. So, you know, until a judge decrees that his name can be released, his name can't be released. But anyway, what seems to be the truth, and it has been confirmed up to a point by the authorities, is that this boy, he is British. He was born in Wales. But that apparently, and again, I haven't actually had official confirmation of this, so I'm just saying it was in the Telegraph, and you know you expect the mainstream media to do their checks before they announce things. But his parents are Rwandan, but he was born in Wales and he moved to Southport when he was round about between 6 and 8 years old. So he's always lived in Britain. He's not a migrant, you know, so those things that were being said are not true. So what happened then last night after the vigil, which was, the thing is, when something like this happens, this, you know, these children, this is what it's all about, these children and their families, the respect that should be shown to them. You know, the vigil was about coming together, offering support, you know. And of course, it got hijacked then by a load of thugs from the English Defence League who don't care sorry, I don't care what you say. They do not give one flying fig for these three girls, because if they did, they would not have done what they did last night. So they then hijacked the vigil in a way, because then all they started riots. They encircled a mosque that was on the next road. They're threatening to burn it down. When the guy, as far as we know, is not even Muslim. Not that it excuses it, even if he was Muslim. It's not an excuse to burn a mosque down or to threaten people who had nothing to do with it. So this English Defence League, they're like rent-a-thug. They just, you know, have half a brain, will travel. They just go anywhere to, you know, their own agenda, They call themselves the English Defence League. They're not, I'm English. They're not speaking in my name, not in my name, the things they do and the things they say. They're just any excuse for a fight, any excuse to, you know, they've attacked the police now. 39 police officers injured. All that fuss about the Manchester airport thing, you know, where because a policewoman had her nose broken and that the guys were resisting arrest, and it's been all over, you know, social media how terrible it is, and it was terrible. These guys who would call themselves patriots injured 39 police officers. 27 of those police officers had to be hospitalized. They've injured the police dogs. They were targeting the police dogs. They set police vehicles on fire. They looted the local supermarket and stole alcohol, cigarettes, etc. They are literally rent a mob. They are not patriots. They're not defending England as far as I'm concerned. And if I had my way, I would arrest them and deport them to Rwanda. They're the people that need deporting from Britain. People that give British people a bad name. You know, British values are not their values, in my opinion. Anyway, let's have a look. And the thing is, what they did then as well is they frightened all these Stockport residents. Stockport, I keep saying Stockport, Southport residents. So they've been in Southport on that road or in that area. They've been through everything they went through the other day with all those little girls being attacked, the trauma for the families and for the locals. And then these idiots went and made it all worse. These patriots, these people that are supposed to be, you know, in the riot. Let's have a look what they did. Makes me really mad. So this is some footage. Just disgusting. Disgusting. So there's a lot of footage has come out, obviously, because a lot of people had mobile phones. But apparently there were children crying. So those children that have been traumatized in that place, in that village in Southport, and now they came and traumatized them a little bit more, didn't they? Thought they'd just give them a little bit more traumatization because they're not traumatized enough. Oh my God, just makes me so angry. And the thing is, these people are doing it in the name of patriotism. So, thugs that travelled to Southport to use the deaths of 3 children for their own political purposes were to blame for the violence that saw dozens of police officers injured, the town's MP has said. Unrest broke out in the Merseyside town hours after a vigil to honour the victims of Monday's knife attack at a dance school in which 3 young girls were killed. Patrick Hurley said the disturbance close to a mosque, which saw officers pelted with bricks and a police van set on fire, had been horrific. Merseyside Police Federation's Chris McGlade said more than 50 police officers were hurt in a sustained and vicious attack. Yeah, so I'm going to show you the aftermath of it in a minute. So there's been people there clearing up. Also, people have travelled there from other, you know, from Manchester, from all sorts of places. People have travelled there to help with the clean-up. So Merseyside Police said the violence was believed to have involved English Defence League supporters. And Mr. Hurley said the riot was led by people from outside the town. He said these thugs had got the training, had used the deaths of 3 little kiddies for their own political purposes. Imagine doing that. I mean, you know, we can't understand why the 17-year-old twonk has murdered those kids. That's terrible to try and get your head around. And now you've got, then... So they thought these idiots, who are grown men as well, who should know better because watching the coverage, these aren't teenagers, these are grown adult men who should know better, you know, just jumping on the bandwagon. And this, of course, as well, is a result of all the misinformation that was on social media, you know, naming the guy as a Muslim, an immigrant, there's false photos circulating, there's all sorts circulating. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, until we get the official version, you know, you cannot believe everything you see on Twitter or Facebook or any of those things. You know, you've got to do your research. And of course, the police officers, the first responders, they were the ones who had responded to that awful scene on Monday. You know, they've had to look at kids that have been murdered and try and help, and that's traumatizing. And then they've had to go back to work the next day and deal with these dickheads. Gosh, just makes me so angry. Anyway, let's have a look at the aftermath. Oh, so first of all, we'll have a little look again at the actual events before we look at the aftermath. So they set alight a police van, throwing bricks, throwing objects, and all the time videoing it and putting it on social media.
Give us the flag!
Look, stupid woman. They just like the lights are on, but there's nobody in. But this guy is not a teenager, is he? These are not teenagers. These are grown men. Grown men. Just disgusting that grown men will do things like that. I mean, what sort of example are they setting for their children? And how do they make British people look? You know, that to me, I just think people will be watching that from all over the world. Is it this one? I think this is a Fox News. This is Fox News and a Fox News that we're going to look at next. An American news channel. And what are they going to think? They think British people are all like this. So this is the aftermath. So as if they haven't gone through enough in Southport. 3 little girls murdered brutally. More in hospital. And look, this is like a 5-minute walk around the corner. How terrified are those residents going to be? Foul.
Do you need a drink of water or anything? No, thank you. All right. You sure? Do you need a drink or anything, mate? No, thanks, mate. You sure?
Oh, yeah. And so apparently they were attacking the police dogs as well. Oh, my God. I tell you what. Oh, have I missed? How dare they? How dare they attack the dogs and everything? They are, honest to God, I'm so angry. I could just, it's bad enough what that community has gone through. And why attack police dogs? God, I hope some of them police dogs got a good bite in on them.
Do you need a drink of water or anything? No, thank you. All right. You sure? Do you need a drink or anything, mate? No, thanks, mate. You sure?
God, just anyway, there was what some of you will have seen the video that I put on this morning. There was one rioter who got what he deserved. Oh God, I just loved watching this. Again, see these men? These are not teenagers. You know what I mean? They're not teenagers. These are older men. You know, dads, probably, maybe even granddads, who should know better. Let's go back to the beginning. Disgusting. Old men. Well, not old, but you know what I mean? Not teenagers. How dare they? How dare they do it? Yeah, they're not teenagers. So see this guy here, look. So what a dickhead. Sorry, excuse me, but excuse my French. So he goes and stands teasing the police and someone throws a brick at his head. And then good. Looks drunk. He'll be feeling that today. He didn't seem to feel it at the time, but he's probably off his head on drugs or drink. His head's bleeding. It's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame. It's such a shame. My heart breaks for him, not. Well, he'll be getting a knock on his door quite soon. All these, look, their faces are visible. The police will be looking for them. How thick are they? Literally, how thick are these people? So this is the quality of people in the English Defence League. And so they're supposed to be la creme de la creme of the English, are they? Are they supposed to represent all that's good about England? So yeah, a little bit of instant karma went out there to that guy. He'll get a bit of long karma when the police turn up at his door, of course. I'll just put some more windows down. Yeah, so they've hijacked the grief of the parents and the community over those three beautiful little girls being brutally murdered. And those people's response to that was to defile their memory by going out there and doing all that, and then turn around and call themselves patriots. English Defence League. Well, they don't speak for me, I can tell you that. Oh. Actually, I don't think I'm sharing this, am I? Right, sorry, I'm just going to share this a minute. Now then, there's been quite a few GoFundMes set up. You know what my thoughts on GoFundMes? Just something about GoFundMes that they always cause problems. So because I was looking for so apparently one of the shopkeepers, a Muslim guy who's a local shopkeeper, his shop was looted, broken into, everything stolen. He was just sat at home watching it on the CCTV because, you know, he couldn't, you're not going to turn up there, are you, and try and stop a mob like that? So anyway, apparently a GoFundMe's been set up for him to replace his stuff, etc. Now, so I went on the internet looking for that GoFundMe. Oh my God, there's loads of GoFundMes up there already. So this is for our little Southport Swifties and families. Been set up by someone called Danielle Stewart, who's in Scotland. So, you know, I certainly wouldn't donate to this at all because I don't know who this woman is, Danielle Stewart. You know, what's she got to do with raising money for the families of these girls? So, you know what, I mean, she may be completely genuine. I'm not saying she isn't. What I'm saying is just be careful if you're going to go and donate some money, because obviously in cases like this, people want to help, want to donate. You've got to be very careful which GoFundMe that you choose because people are unscrupulous. I mean, this has not got a beneficiary. It says we are coming together as a community to donate to those affected. But she lives in Scotland, so what's she got to do with Southport? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, she could be completely reputable. I don't want to say she isn't because what I'm trying to say is I don't know. Then there's how you can support, how you can help Southport. And it's actually encouraging you to start a GoFundMe. What you've got to remember about GoFundMe is literally I could go on there now and say, oh, GoFundMe for Southport. And some people would donate because when people are looking to donate, they'll just go on there and find whatever. So, you know, I would say don't donate at the moment at all until you can find, you know, the official GoFundMes. So look, there's quite a few now already. Donate to fundraisers from the Southport attack. So we've got for Elsie's family. Let's have a look. Now this seems to be her family, our daughter, granddaughter, niece and cherished friend. But you know, you just don't know. I don't know who's the beneficiary. Oh, that little girl's face. Oh my God, bless her. You know, so this is all I'm saying. I'm not saying these people aren't genuine. This may well be Elsie's family. What I'm saying is be careful because, you know, I think it's early days. And then there's one for Bebe's family, one for Alice, you know, and then there's the for our little Southport Swifties, helping the Southport families, the Southport Dance Group Emergency Fund. You know, which are the ones? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not. This is why I don't like GoFundMe. Just don't like it. You know, if I knew which one was the official one, I would encourage anyone to donate to it. But until I do, I can't. You know, I just can't. Sorry, I haven't been yeah, exactly, Maggie. GoFundMe is open to abuse, isn't it? Hi, Unity. So, I don't know. What do you all think about the GoFundMes? Do you agree? I mean, I'm not just being horrible, am I? This is my whole and then even when you have the legitimate GoFundMes, like with Jay Slater, then everybody starts whinging about it because it gets too much money. You know, it just causes so many problems. It needs some sort of control, doesn't it, GoFundMe? Yeah, maybe a government thing, or, you know, then everyone moan about that probably. But I don't know, you should have to apply. Like if you were the family, for example, you should have to prove that you're connected to that little girl, and you're you know, it shouldn't be any, like I literally could set up a GoFundMe now. You know, don't need any proof that I'm anything to do with those little girls. That's what's wrong. So you should have to prove yourself that you are connected, that you've got legitimate beneficiary. You know, who's the beneficiary going to be? It'll be the parents, I suppose. Just, it's wrong, I think. Needs much more regulation in my eyes as well. I think I've got one more thing to show you. Yeah, so the good news, so we know that bad things always bring out, you know, we see the worst of people with the horrible, like the guy who must have been possessed or something, the devil that killed these poor girls. The worst of people, the bloody British Defence League or whatever idiot name they call themselves. You've seen the worst of people there. But of course, these things as well, they do bring out the best of people. We have to remember that. People basically are not twonks. I do believe that. It's just that the twonks always attract the most attention. You know, we don't notice all the nice, good things that people do every day, little things, you know, that people do every day. We don't see that. We don't see it on the news. But so apparently this morning in Southport, locals came and cleaned up after the people from out of town caused mayhem in Stockport. Locals in it's not Stockport. I keep saying Stockport. When I say Stockport, you know I mean Southport. I've got Stockport in my head. Locals in Southport have gathered for a clean-up operation outside a mosque. I mean, how awful to attack that mosque. A mosque is a place of prayer. And even if the guy would have been a Muslim, that doesn't, you can't just go attacking all Muslims, you know, who are attending a place of prayer. It's like, you know, if I'm trying to think, if there's been like a recent murder and it was a Christian, so you're going to go and, you know, go to a church and kill a load of Christians. That's wrong. Christians who had nothing to do with the original murder. Anyway, right-wing rioters brought further misery to a town already reeling from a knife attack that left 3 children dead. Dozens of residents were outside Southport Mosque with brushes and shovels on Wednesday morning after violent protests that saw bricks, stones and bottles thrown at police and cars set alight. Norman Wallace, chief executive of Southport Pleasureland, said people have travelled from out of town to wreak havoc, leaving locals to clean up the mess. Let's have a look at this. Look at that. Wonder whose car that is. Little angels. Southport's wondering what the hell's going on. So Southport, this part of it anyway, is a quiet place apparently. You know, they're just starting the summer holidays. The weather was nice, you know, all lovely on Monday. And then all this bloody chaos descends.
How many more children, Prime Minister? You're going to do something?
Now, I wonder if they weren't already there because there were people there harassing Keir Starmer when he went and took his wreath. You know, were they already there? Was it planned? You know, like sometimes I really do wonder if these things are planned by some outside agency, you know, like almost to destabilize Britain, you know, or make Britain look bad, or, you know, is it the bloody Russians or something organizing these people and you know, putting money into it? And then of course you've got idiots like Nigel Farage sowing hate and inciting hate, and Dan Wootton, he's been at it, although all the usual suspects, these horrible people, you know. And to me, if you can't try and spread some love, you know, when those 3 girls are dead, all it is about is their memory and the terrible thing that happened that day in that workshop, that Taylor Swift workshop. And now they've sort of taken the attention off it. You know, in years to come, people will talk about it and they'll go, oh yeah, and remember that riot afterwards. It should all be focused on the children that have died, and also the ones that are still fighting for their life, and the 2 teachers that are fighting for their life. So nothing shouldn't be, you know, they shouldn't hijack it for their political purposes, you know, to try. And also, it's not even correct. Apart, you know, but whether you know, even if you agreed with the English Defence League, it's not. But everything they've done is based on nothing that's true. So, you know, it's not even like justified in any way, shape, or form. But I don't know. Yeah, that's right. There was the GoFundMe in Australia where the guy stole 60,000. Because the thing is, maybe sometimes these people set up GoFundMes with you know, a good intention, and then suddenly that was that girl that had been killed by her boyfriend, wasn't it? And suddenly you've got $60,000. Sometimes that's just too tempting for people, even though they might have started off with good intentions, you know, to help the family or whatever. People just, you know, they get led astray by money. Money is like the root of all evil, as they say, and it's definitely true. Definitely true. These poor girls. Yeah. Yeah, that person, Maggie, that's on this, on the Twitter, it was on Twitter. I put, maybe I can put it up. I did put it up on the video last night. But what gets me is how people just accept it. You know, people coming on my chat or on my messages and saying, oh yeah, no, it's a migrant and blah de blah de blah de blah de blah, but without even sort of looking into it to see if it's actually true. Doesn't seem to be coming up now. Yeah, I heard this guy saying a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. And it's true. Sorry, I'm just having a look on Twitter to see if I can find that. Yes, it is. I just think this is so true. Do you imagine? So you hear that children are dead in stabbings, and the first thing you can think of, oh, it's the Muslims. You know, is that the first thing that occurs to you? While normal people felt sadness and grief at the death of 3 children, these effing somethings saw an opportunity. They're the worst of us. Oh God, that's Lawrence Fox, isn't it? Yeah. So we had Nigel Farage, Dan Wootton, Lawrence Fox, and this idiot Richard Tice, all trying to hijack the fact that these 3 children had died for their own political purposes. Terrible. Honestly, why anybody likes Nigel Farage, I can honestly say, I just do not understand. Let's hear this councillor speak.
Thank you very much. Let's just reflect on what happened last night. You had a really busy night liaising with community leaders and the local imam, because of course the mosque, the first target last night. Talk to me about how events unfolded.
I think we've got to go back to the tragedy that's happened here first.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the last couple of days the far right organise themselves on social media, using the tragedy that's happened here and 3 innocent little girls losing their lives to sort of stoke political hatred in the town. Clearly there were people busting from all over the country. We saw taxis dropping people off from Blackburn at the vigil who clearly intended to come here. I think it's just devastating. It's devastating that people would use this tragic set of circumstances to try and mobilise politically. And it's not Southport. What Southport is what we've seen this morning, the clear up operation there. That is Southport, the community coming together and looking after each other. But last night was not Southport.
Southport does have a Muslim community. It has a mosque here. You've been in touch with the imam. How have they been affected? Because the police are at pains to say this was somebody that was born in the UK. There has been no official line about a link with Islam or anything like that. This has been part of the misinformation or assumptions that have been made in the void that has, for good reason, been left between us knowing and the police investigation.
Yeah, I think sadly facts matter very little when people have got a political ideology that they want to push and cause division and hate. And yeah, I imagine I've not managed to speak to a lot of people around the mosque community there. But it's people have got to be scared. So they're going to be worrying now about what happens over the next few days, weeks, months. It must be terrifying. It must be terrifying to see your community singled out and attacked in that way for no reason. Apparently, there's nothing confirmed yet, as you said. And see the systemic targeting of a group of people. It's for no other reason than the colour of skin on the creed. It's disgusting. The
community has bounced back yet again, still reeling from the horrific events that unfolded here on Monday. It's only Wednesday, like we're talking, 48 hours ago. And they have bounced back in terms of the clean-up operations. Luke's Road, which is just up the hill behind us, and the road running parallel. That was a scene of devastation last night. We saw the diggers there this morning. It's now spotless, largely to neighbours who have come out and helped council workers. How worried are you about further incidents? And, I don't want to over-dramatise the situation, but that will be a concern. I've spoken to residents who were frightened last night, here with their grandkids in their houses, locking their doors, watching this go past their house, their home.
It's terrifying. I mean, I grew up 10 doors down on Hart Street. I still live in Southport. I live by the hospital. It is terrifying. You're hearing helicopters all night.
Yeah.
And I think it is something we should all be concerned about. We can't let these people politicise what should be a time of grief and mourning. And I mean, I have no doubts if this does happen again, then the people of Southport will continue to come out and support each other. But this doesn't need to happen. This should be stamped on immediately.
So many questions about what's been happening over the last 48 hours. And again, residents I've spoken to this morning, why attack the police who have a suspect in custody, who were first responding to that horrific scene here on Monday, and also attacking the property and looting the shops of local residents, members of the community who are grieving. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think, that is what people are struggling to deal with, it seems, this morning.
Yeah, I think if we're looking for sense with the far right's rhetoric, we're looking in the wrong places. It's nonsensical. They will latch onto an issue or a tragedy and try and use it for their own political aims. It's said people from here would not loot local shops and damage the property of their neighbours. That's not what people do.
Yeah.
It's clearly people who've come from outside to try and stoke up more hate.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can see there's different views about Keir Starmer going. Personally, I don't see.
What do
I
you
said
mean now,
straight
as local
away he
council?
had to go. Of course he had to go. This is a major event. And if he didn't go, he would have been criticised. Oh, he's not interested, etc. You know, he just couldn't win, could he? But whoever that was that was shouting at him when they were there, they were wrong in my eyes. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He just went and he put a bloody reef down, you know, and then guys shouting and politicizing it again, turning it into what you're going to do about it. You know, I mean, what an idiot. Sorry, they just, it's total disrespect to those girls that have died. So that's what I think anyway. But we've all got our views. Okay, so that's it for today. All I just hopes, prayers that there's no other fatalities. So, you know, I've always got the news on over there, and I'm always looking because I'm sort of dreading. I've got this dread of news coming through, you know, that another child has died, or one of the teachers, of course. It's just a horrible thought, isn't it? So our prayers, or my prayers, and I hope your prayers too, all our thoughts are with those girls. Forget the English Defence League. How dare, oh God, you know, how dare they hijack that whole thing and turn it to some sort of political, I can't even call it an advantage. Maybe maybe it's good that they did it because it just makes them look like the idiots that they are. You know, do they really think that's going to make people, would people watch that and think, oh yeah, I'm going to join the English Defence League, they were right to do that? Sorry, if somebody thinks that, then you really need, you know, looking at, you know, because if watching people do things like that makes you think they're right, you know, you have to try and sow love in this world, and the more hate that happens in the world, like that horrible incident, the reaction that you should have to it is not to be hateful towards people. It's to try and spread more love and make a difference in a good way, not make a difference and make it even worse. You know, that's not the way to go, is it? You know, nobody has all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. Things are, you know, things happen, and not everybody's trying to, you know, think of why it happened, and maybe there is no reason why it happened. Maybe we'll never get a reason, you know, just maybe it's just evil, you know. But the thing is, it doesn't help, does it, to be nasty then and cause more discord, you know, more violence, more aggression. How does that make everything better? Anyway. Okay, so I'll see you really soon. I know, let's not fall out. Listen, we don't do insults on here. If you know, it's fine, Lottie. If you don't like Starmer, you know, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to like him, but you have to respect some people maybe do like him. I personally think he's great. You know, that doesn't make me an idiot either. I think Keir Starmer is a good man, and I think he'll make a difference once he gets a chance. You know, he's only been in power 3 weeks, but anyway, I do think he'll make a difference, and I think he did the right thing going and laying that reef. He had, what was he gonna do? Not go? And then people say, oh, he doesn't even care. He didn't even go. Could it? You know, so the person who hijacked that was the person who shouted, made an issue out of it, when all it was somebody you know, at the end of the day, whether you like him or not, he's the Prime Minister of Britain. He's been chosen, he's been voted for, you know, landslide victory, and you may not like him, or somebody else may not like him. I didn't like Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak, but I had to sit back and, you know, put up with him. You know, that's just how it is. But we all have our views. We all have our views, but we have to respect other people's views. As long as they're not from the English Defence League, then we don't have to. Anyway, okay, I'm going. I'll be back tonight, I think. You know, I'm not sure. I might be try and talk about something completely different, because it's hard. You know, it's a tough subject, isn't it? It's a very emotional subject. You know, there's children who've died at the end of the day, so you know, we owe it to them to not fall out with each other as well. I think so. You know, we owe it to them to try and find a peaceful way through all these things, you know, an amicable way through all this tragedy. We don't want to be aggressive, do we? Okay, so I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave your DNA on the like button, and think about subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Hello to those of you just watching at home that didn't join in the chat, or should I say goodbye? But goodbye as well to the replay crew, and goodbye to all you nice people that were here on the chat. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, of course, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.